Hello and welcome to our little video on this 1995 23-year-old K11 Micra. So in this video we're going to do a little bit of an introduction on this model and this car specifically, tell you a little bit about the history of it, how it's been stood up for quite a while and how we got it sort of started and running. So this little Micra has been owned by the same lady since 2002, and as you can see it's only done 61,000 miles. Now that's backed up by a full service history from new through to 2008, and unfortunately that is where the service history stops, but as you can see that was only less than 10,000 miles ago. It's only done 9,000 miles since 2008. Now for the last 3 of those years the car was actually just stood up, parked up in a garage. The nice thing is it was a large, well ventilated, nice dry garage, not like a damp garage which can potentially do a car more harm than good, but it was like a nice dry garage, so the garage did preserve the car pretty well in there. But of course the battery was flat when we got to it, and we put a jump starter on it, and with the jump starter the engine actually turned around really well, really strongly. Unfortunately it didn't start, so we had to think about what was wrong with it, and immediately we suspected could be the fuel pump. 2 reasons for that. One was despite the fact that the engine was cranking around strongly, and we'd been cranking it for a while, we couldn't smell any fuel in the garage. Like normally if the car's delivering fuel into the engine and it's not starting, you should be able to sort of smell like raw unburnt fuel coming out the exhaust, and we definitely couldn't smell anything like that. So that was the first reason that sort of led us to suspect the fuel pump. And then we had a closer listen to it, and what we found when we had it's under the back seat, by the way, so we just had a closer listen, and what we found that when you first switch the ignition on, normally when the fuel pump should start and run for about 5-10 seconds, and you should be able to hear that, and we couldn't hear that, but what we could hear was it seemed to be sort of energizing. You could hear like a kind of noise when you turn the ignition on, which sort of led us to believe the electrics were good. The computer was energizing it, but it just wasn't running. So that led us to suspect the fuel pump, and we did a few more checks that sort of pretty much confirmed that the fuel pump wasn't delivering fuel. We took the filter off at the front and checked for fuel flow. There wasn't. So anyway, to cut a long story short, we put a new fuel pump in it. I say new, a new second-hand one, and with that new fuel pump it starts, runs and drives amazingly well. So the K11 was built from 1992 all the way through to 2003. It replaced the very successful K10, which had the sort of like the classic kind of like 80s like square styling. So the K11 bought the lovely classic sort of like curvy 90s styling. Works really well. So, I mean, some of the early 90s styled cars were possibly a bit too curvy, but in this little Micra K11, I think the styling works really well. It's just sort of like makes for a very kind of like honest, sort of like simple but effective design that just sort of produces like a really kind of like nice sort of like cute looking car without looking like it's sort of trying to be cute. It's not over the top kind of designed like a lot of cars are these days. So really nice looking car. Outside and inside it's got this kind of like nice kind of like dash layout with the like radio, vents, buttons. You've got space there to sort of put stuff and all that. No passenger airbag at this kind of age, but interestingly you have got a driver's airbag. Would have been one of the early cars to have a driver's airbag actually at that age. And so like now we're just going to start it up, show you how it runs. So there you go, you got those are the lights that come on. Start straight up. As you can see, that's sort of from cold. The engine temperature is cold there, but as you can see, it runs lovely. Revving it up there, you can probably hear that. Obviously running on a bit of choke at the moment, but so the air revs are a little bit high, but that will come down as it warms up. Inside everything seems to work. All these like heater vents and all this sort of stuff works. blows hot and cold air, the sort of directional up to the screen, to the vents, and all that sort of stuff works. It's got this nice sort of old like black stereo, which at the moment needs to have a code put in it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to try and do that. But at the moment, it needs that code, but it seems to be working. All the windscreen wipers, lights, all that kind of thing works nicely. And yeah, it's all good. No power steering, but really, you know, after you've driven it for about sort of a couple of minutes, it feels absolutely fine. And really, it makes you wonder why cars of this size need power steering. Really, like a lot of like modern cars these days have so much stuff that they don't really need. You know, makes you think, why can't everything this size not have power steering? So engine's still running, and as you can see, the temperature's just beginning to come up now, and the idle speed has dropped down as you'd expect. Sort of sounds lovely. Maybe just a little bit of vibration you can hear from the exhaust at the moment, but you know, nothing severe. And just going to talk about the condition of the interior a little bit. It's really, you know, as really does reflect like the nice low mileage. You know, you can see how new this, you know, how unworn the steering wheel looks, for example. You know, and the same with the seats and stuff. Obviously, you know, it's slightly dirty, but actually what you can see there, I think, is some kind of reflection moving around. That's not dirt, but it's just some kind of bit of shade from a tree moving around. But there is just like a, you know, a very light bit of dirt. I mean, you could probably shampoo these seats if you wanted, but really, condition-wise, I mean, they're excellent, including the driver's one, which I'm sat on, which I can't show very well, but I will in a minute. Carpets are all good. Again, difficult to see a little bit because of the lighting, unfortunately. There it goes. Yeah, carpets all good. Back seats, again, really good condition. Back carpets all good. Hasn't got electric windows or anything like that. It's a nice simple technology on the windows. What it has got that I like is got its tilt slide sunroof. So you can first slide this back, and then you can turn this way to make it sort of slide all the way back. So you've got a nice kind of like open sunroof there, if you like, which is great. Nice blue sky here in the UK for a change. Or you can shut it and then have it in the tilt position. So you shut it again, press this button again, and turn it the other way, and it goes into this tilt position, which is fantastic. So back in like the early 90s, like this kind of sunroof was actually quite a common feature instead of air conditioning. Now everything just has air conditioning, and I wish, like, especially here in the UK, I don't really think we need air conditioning most of the time. I do wish more cars had sunroofs like this and less air conditioning. But anyway, that's just me. Okay, so engine just warming up a little bit more now and ticking over nicely. So let's get outside and have a look around the outside of it. So there's that driver's seat, by the way. In nice condition again. So outside, the car's it's not in perfect condition. It's got a few little sort of like dents, things here and there. A bit of rust there on the bottom of that door. A little scratch on the bonnet. But generally, it's in very kind of obvious, that we'd describe as honest condition. It's got some rust on that wing there. That's the worst kind of thing on the bodywork, I would say, and a bit more rust sort of at the bottom. So it might be worth just replacing that wing potentially, I'm thinking. I think they are bolt-on. They're all nice down the sides. You've got another little ding on that back wing there. But overall, just like a really nice kind of honest looking car. Nice straight looking car. It's got these lovely original like wheel trims, which there's just something about these like wheel trims that I just really like. You know, just such a nice bit of like clean, honest, simple but elegant design. Nice little like Nissan logo there. And also it's interesting how small these wheels are. Again, it really makes you think, you know, why cars of this size these days need to have these like massive wheels that manufacturers are putting on them. I mean, why? Such an unnecessary use of environmental resources, and not to mention, you know, when you get punctures and stuff, tyres are more expensive. Why does a car this size need bigger wheels than what this has got on here? This is perfectly fine. So sorry, digressed a little bit with my rant about the wheels there. So the next thing to note condition-wise is one thing that was quite common kind of problem with these K11 Micras is they used to rust even on this part of the back wing, and they would often need to have sort of like repair patches welded on. And indeed, this one has had like such patches welded on that you can see there. But you know, it looks solid, and the rest of it going forward looks good, and the other side is about the same. So here's the engine ticking over nicely. Let's give it a bit of a rev. So it revs up and ticks over really nicely. Just a little thing to point out here is that another sort of common area where these K11s could rust was the sort of like front cross member section down at the bottom there by the radiator, and I don't know how well that's coming up on the camera, but as far as we can see, that cross member on this one looks all good, although just to clarify, we have not had this car up on a ramp, but as far as we can see, it looks all good. So just trying to show you a little shot of the underneath of the car as best we can here. As we said, unfortunately no ramp, but as you can see, the main thing I'm trying to show here is how nice and dry it is underneath the engine. You know, no oil leaks or water leaks or anything like that. So, I mean, normally on a car of anything near this age, you normally just get a little bit of oil seeping out. You don't even seem to have any of that. Maybe just a tiny bit there, but certainly nothing like any drip kind of leaks or anything like that. And looking all, further back the car, it all looks good. There's one area on the exhaust that looks like it's had a previous kind of like Bondo type repair, so but that seems to be holding. You can't hear it blowing or anything like that, so that should be fine. So yeah, this is best as we can undershot of the car. Little bit of rust around where this towing eye is, but I suspect that's still solid there, because it looks still quite solid, and we did actually tow it back using that towing eye, so it was certainly solid enough to tow back from when we picked it up. And that's it. That pretty much wraps things up. We were going to do like a segment of the car being driven, but then we thought, well, there's not really a lot of point in that, because it's not really going to convey very much in a video, but it does actually drive really nicely. So yeah, that's it. So hope all of you watching this video found it interesting.